Me robaste el sueño cuando me dormí. Se pasó mi amante y yo no lo vi. Me robaste el sueño. Me robaste el sueño cuando me dormí.
Good morning. Diving into your body.
Bueno, le vamos a cantar el tema.
Me robaste el sueño cuando me dormí. Se pasó mi amante y yo no lo vi.
Diving into the space and taking my first sip of
Me robaste el
coffee.
sueño cuando me dormí. Me robaste, me robaste, me robaste, me robaste.
Gotta get up for this.
Me robaste, me robaste, me robaste.
I feel como juego, muy picante, muy spicy.
Bueno, le vamos a cantar el tema.
Luna's here.
Le vamos a cantar el tema.
Wonder what we're doing. Luna and I had many dance parties in Costa Rica. Feel the earth underneath of you, under your feet. Feel the support.
Y yo no lo vi. Me robaste el sueño. Me robaste el sueño cuando me dormí.
Letting the energy wake up in the body. The awakening before we dive in. Igniting the chi. Okay. We're in Club Cat. Oh my God. All right, that's it. That is it. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you all so much for joining me. And shout out to my dear sister, my real sister, my blood sister, who showed me that song. She is a house queen, really loves high key everything. So I love her for that, for giving me a little pep in my step this morning and letting us just move the blood, move the body, and really arrive here into this space together. So thank you all so much for being here. This is Sacred Spaces training. And I haven't done anything like this yet. I offer this inside my private academy, Pure Witch Academy, which I'll give you a lot more information about at the end of this call. But yeah, I haven't given you all an opportunity to start creating your sacred spaces yet. So I'm really looking forward to today giving you all of the tools, all of the knowledge, all of the frameworks so that you can build a successful workshop, offering, masterclass, retreat, multi-day immersion for impact and integrity and influence in your community. So A little bit about me. If you're brand new to my world, welcome. My name is Kat, and I am the founder of Locomotive. Locomotive is a holistic lifestyle brand focusing on feminine embodiment and community development. So that's truly why I'm here. I've worked and lived in Central America, doing international community development, working on projects there. And here locally, I'm developing my community in Denver. So I love this opportunity to connect personally. So if anything stands out to you, if you're watching the replay, please let me know, tag me, share what your biggest breakthroughs and downloads are. I love seeing that. I love celebrating that. I love spreading the word about this work. And also, you are stepping into a place of leadership just by being here and by receiving this work of sacred spaces. So when we celebrate your awareness, your knowledge, your growth, it spreads, you're stepping into this next level, and really letting that be known to your community too. So before we dive even deeper into this work, let's all just arrive here together. So you can close down your eyes if that feels good, or soften your gaze out on something in front of you. Coming to a little bit of stillness and taking a deep breath into the belly, filling up. And a deep exhale out, side out. Good. Let's do a couple more just like that. Deep belly breath in, fill it up. And side out. Last one, take it on your own. I love that sweetness that stillness creates. All right. It is 9 a.m. here in Denver, Colorado on a beautiful Saturday. I've got quite the weekend ahead. I'm super excited to be here with you. And yeah, the point of this workshop is to provide you the frameworks, as I said, the tools and knowledge to create sacred spaces. Yesterday we had a full moon ceremony. Today is more of a masterclass style, providing you the knowledge, the tools, and resources to feel like a confident woman of her word and integrity as you guide people in their experience. So really developing your leadership and your unique codes, so that when you go out into the world and you start offering these and creating these sacred spaces in the community, that you feel well equipped and prepared and ready to create the impact that you're here to create. So a little bit about me. Again, my name is Kat. It is a pleasure to be here. I have been coaching since 2018. Before that, I got my degrees in international business and international relations from Elon. I graduated in 2015 from Elon University in North Carolina, and I also studied Spanish and accounting. So I have a business background. I have an international relations background. I'm fluent in Spanish. I'm half Latina, so that part of my identity is so important to me. I've spent 3 years abroad, 2.5 in Central America, and then an additional semester in southern Spain in Sevilla. And yeah, I'm just super excited and turned on by the idea of creating these sacred spaces for not only you, for not only your community, but the international community. And then I have a really big, beautiful vision that I will save for the alchemy of that. And yeah, I'm just so blessed to be here. I got My first coaching certification in 2018 was when I graduated from my holistic health program through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. And in 2019 was when I completed my trauma-informed facilitators training at Soulwork. In 2018, I also received my 200-hour yoga teacher certification from Soulwork Academy in Costa Rica. And then in 2020, I became a certified NLP neurolinguistic programming practitioner. I use hypnosis and different submodalities and subconscious techniques and tools to help you create new neural pathways for a compelling future, for something that drives you, for something that lights you up. And I continued to study that. I became a master NLP practitioner. I've got a whole textbook upon textbook of tools, techniques, and modalities to help create that change from within. And with that, I also incorporate the body. I also incorporate the somatics, the soma, the energetics into the work that I do. So I love the work that I do. I think it's a beautiful blend, and I haven't seen it yet anywhere else. But it's a really beautiful blend of the feminine, of the body, of the soma, of the energetics, of the emotional body with the mind and the analytical, the rational sides of ourselves, the parts of us that need pathways and frameworks and clear steps to follow in order to create impact and influence in our lives. So you can't have one without the other. It's not a holistic approach until you integrate both parts of you into the work that we do. So I'm really excited about creating the marriage between the two today, and then in Pure Witch Academy, which again I'll get to in the end. But Pure Witch Academy is my 8-week training program for facilitators, coaches, leaders, and healers to deepen your well of knowledge, develop your skills and your magic and medicine, so that you can create sacred spaces just like this, and create impact and influence in your community from a place of integrity, and from a place of embodiment. So again, you can't have one without the other. So it's so important to, yes, do the mindset work. Yes, do the reprogramming. Yes, create new neural pathways and integrate the body. Let's do some nervous system regulation. Let's do some releasing of negative emotions, finding the root cause, and tracking back in our energetic systems to kind of the first time that created the narrative, created the story, created those energetic ties, so that you can cultivate awareness and then unlock potential within yourself. So again, you can't have one without the other. And I'm so excited to provide you both. And that's what Pure Witch Academy is all about. Is yes, we have the embodiment. Yes, we have the somatics. Yes, we have the nervous system regulation, but we also have the subconscious reprogramming, creating new pathways and frameworks within your life for success, right? So you have to integrate both the feminine and the masculine, or else you're leaving 50% of the whole out. So yes, I'm a feminine embodiment mentor, and we do this masculine work in order for our feminine to flourish, in order for her to feel safe to express and create and birth her desires into the world and really bring those to fruition and alchemize those. So yeah, as I mentioned, I've been doing this work since 2018 was my first certification. I've been teaching and guiding and leading since even before then. And today is an opportunity to learn about how to create, again, these workshops and highly transformative spaces, whether it be in person or online, for your community. And there's an opportunity to create wealth for you, to create pathways, to generate income, doing something that lights you up, doing something that turns you on, doing something that is soul led, that you feel so deeply passionate about. And today I'm going to share a lot of what I've learned over the years, through me, in trainings with my teachers, as well as in community, integrating and teaching these similar workshops in real time, so that you get to do it too. So I'm so excited about the idea of you stepping into your leadership and your healership, and creating really transformative and impactful journeys for others. So if you don't already have a paper and pencil, or I'm not really sure who uses those these days, some people like to journal. Otherwise, having a notepad or your Word document out in front of you, you're going to definitely want to take notes. I also encourage you to just be fully present in this workshop, in this masterclass rather, and receive, just like really be open and receptive to everything that I'm about to provide to you. And then maybe you even rewatch it and then you take notes on it. So allowing yourself a few opportunities to let this information settle into your body. Okay. So I've already begun the process of creating a sacred space. And I want to name right now, coming from a trauma-informed background, I use the term sacred space instead of a safe space, because who's to say that you feel safe right now? And safe is a projection of how I'm perceiving the situation, even though I'm not in your body, I'm not in your head, I don't know how you're feeling. So it's actually informal and out of integrity to use the term safe. Instead of using safe spaces, we use the term sacred spaces, because even though you may or may not feel a certain type of way towards the space that we're in right now, at least I'm doing my best to cultivate a sacred space here with you, through these frameworks that I'm about to provide, through the grounding that we did, through building authority, through providing an introduction, through creating safety in the best way that I can, safety in myself, regulated states within myself, but really creating a sacred space for you to do your work. And so, number one, always kick it off with an introduction. Who am I? Why are we here? What are you going to learn? And what would it look like if you integrated this work into your world, thinking of limitless potential, thinking of new pathways and revenue streams and possibilities for you to create these sacred spaces within your community? So why, what, how, and what if is a perfect framework for you to create a sacred space for this transformative work to be done. And then why me? This is another framework. Why me? Why now? And why this? So why me? Because I've been doing this work for 5+ years. I have been educated through internationally recognized coaching programs, certifications, getting my degree from Elon University. It's a well-known university in North Carolina. And so really building that authority. So that's why me. And then why now? Is because there's no place or no time like the present. Of course, it's such a pleasure to be here. We're moving into the fall season. We're moving into more of an introspective season, really nourishing and pouring back into ourselves, peeling away that which is no longer in alignment, that which does not serve. And yeah, like really pouring back into this opportunity to create spaces of integrity and of leadership for you. And then why this? Because I want to gear you up with tools, techniques, modalities, frameworks, so that you can feel like a confident leader and coach and healer. So many coaches out there are kind of ill prepared for their work. And what I'll tell you more about at the end, but the program, Pure Witch Academy, that I'll be offering is a really, it's an intensive. And there's different parts to it too, right? There's facilitation calls, opportunities to ask your questions, hot seat coaching. There's modules coming out every single week. And I'm providing you with the frameworks and tools so that you can build your confidence, so that you can build your own unique codes as a facilitator, as a medicine worker, spreading your own medicine and your knowledge and your embodiment of your work into the world. We need people like you. This world needs people like you. And trust me when I say that there is such a large community out there that's just waiting to receive your medicine. So I'm super excited to get this to you so that you can become a confident and skilled trainer and coach within your community. Okay, so we have the introductions, we create a space of safety, we build that trust and authority, we build that framework of why me, why now, why this, how are we going to get into this? What are we going to do? Why is it important? And then what would it look like if you fully invested in yourself, said yes, created the pathways to step into your life's purpose, doing something that you're so lit up about from the inside out. Just imagine how abundant your life would be and feel, and how wealthy you would feel receiving compensation and receiving validation and credit and recognition from the work that you're here to do, and doing something that's really impactful and transformative rather than maybe a little less conscious. I'm thinking about my days that I worked for the government, so I've been there. And that's also why we're here too, is because I did work for the government. I was in the Peace Corps for nearly 2.5 years in Costa Rica. That's where I got my amazing little puppy that you saw earlier on this video. And after that, I worked for the Environmental Protection Agency for 4 years. I worked in the front office with really high-level staff, deputies, administrators of the Office of Water, as well as working with tribal country, different tribal leaders, leaders of state and local agencies, nonprofits, and universities as well. So I've done it, I've been there, and while I was there, I continued to invest in myself, in my education, because I always knew that I was going to be doing this full time at some point. And so, yeah, that's why we're here too. So it's so important as you're creating these sacred spaces to have an intention and make that intention known, make it clear, and get permission, right? Get a fuck yes from your people. Of course, they provided consent. You provide consent by merely showing up into the space. I can assume that you've read a little bit about this workshop, why you're here, what you're going to receive. And when we're showing up live, it's consent again. We're cultivating and creating multiple opportunities for you to provide consent. Okay. And so that is teaching from a trauma-informed lens: consent, consent, consent. And so I have the intention, I hold that intention. I am crystal clear about the intention. I already said my intention today is to provide you opportunities, frameworks, modalities, techniques to create sacred spaces like this in your community. And then at the end, I'm going to give you even more of an opportunity to deepen in that investment within yourself. So really getting that consensual hell yes, this is why I'm here. Okay, if everyone agrees, like raise your hand. If you're prepared, let me know, acknowledge that. And with that said, again, from a trauma-informed lens, we always allow people to opt in instead of opt out, right? And so that it's less, it doesn't single people out. Like if you don't feel safe or secure within yourself, to opt out, and then everyone else's hand stays down because they decide to be here. If I'm like, okay, if you don't want to be here, if you don't feel comfortable, then raise your hand. Imagine how uncomfortable it is to raise your hand when the whole room is staring at you and you're the only one that decides this is not for you. So instead of opting out, we opt in. Okay. This is again triple consent. This is definitely teaching from a trauma-informed lens. If, for example, if you're teaching yoga, if you're teaching breath work, and my women's circles and a lot of the work that I do, I provide hands-on support. So I always give my students, my clients, my people an opportunity to opt in to receiving that. So instead of, just like who doesn't want to receive hands-on support and assist, raise your hand if you would like to receive that. And so everyone raises their hand. Okay. So yeah, creating that multi-layered opportunity for consent, and let others know how to get in touch with you. So this is online and in person in real life. This is all real, but letting people know how to get in contact throughout the offering, throughout the workshop, throughout the retreat, or here on Zoom virtually. Like if you have questions, raise your hand, use the reactions tab, let me know that you're here, drop it in the chat, let's stay engaged, keep your cameras on, set aside your distractions. If you're in person, like phones to the side. If you need support, if you have a question, raise your hand. Like set the stage so that people know how to get in touch with you. If you don't want to receive questions until the end, let them know. Hold your questions until the end. If you're fine to answer questions throughout the entirety of the workshop, then let them know you're fine to raise your hand and ask me questions while we go. Okay. So really giving them and setting the stage for that level of trust and comfort and security within themselves, because it can feel like awkward. And especially if you're new to this work, if you're more introverted, if you haven't been in sacred spaces yet, or you haven't invested a lot in yourself until now, then people don't have the confidence or the self-knowing yet. That's why they're here, is to develop that. So letting them know what is okay and what is not okay will help them surrender and soften and trust you more. This is all about building trust. Okay. So even when it comes to, like in a workshop in real life, letting them know, like, if you need to step out, if this becomes too much, if you become triggered, maybe you have an assistant there that's there to support you, or you set the stage before you dive into the work that, hey, if you need to take a moment, you can step outside. The bathrooms in the back, there's the lounge that you can step into if you need to regulate yourself, and trusting that your people are smart, emotionally intelligent individuals, and that they'll know what they need for themselves. And by setting the stage and providing them the opportunities and the tools to step out if they need to, then at least you've done your work, and you can confidently provide permission for them to step out. We're all sovereign, and I lead people that are empowered, and I trust that you know how to regulate yourself, right? And so I trust that when something is not feeling good, that you track that within yourself, and that you give yourself the opportunity to step out if need be. So letting people know that it's safe to do that. I'm really setting that stage. And then also, before you even get into the work, let them know, like, okay, the bathroom's back there, the lounge is here, and create the awareness of and safety. Like, again, this is all about creating more safety. And how do you create safety? Well, you give people more than enough insight and information about the space that they're in, and we're constantly building trust. So let them know where the bathroom is if they need to use the bathroom during a workshop or an activation. Let them know how to get water. Let them know how to support themselves, because you are guiding people that are sovereign individuals. So let's see. Take a sip of coffee. Okay, we talked about setting the stage. And that's so important. It's like, set the tone for the work. And I remember in my women's group, it's an 8-week container, and every week, like, the women arrive and it's cute and playful and fun and flirty, and everyone's just like feeling really like up here every time that we walk in, because we haven't seen each other in a week, and it's so exciting. And I remember one week, I think it was like week 3, we were sitting in a cacao ceremony, and there was additional work and medicine work that we were doing throughout the 8 weeks, and the cacao ceremony was the first of our medicine work that we did together. And I told my co-facilitator, let's keep the energy tight, let's keep it grounded. I texted the women before they arrived into the space and let them know what to expect. Please come in quietly, and just keep your energy to yourself. We're going to be sitting in ceremony today. So setting the stage and creating setting, right? That's so important when you're doing work like this, is creating the atmosphere, creating the vibe, creating the stage and the setting for people to, again, soften into the space that they're settling into. And I remember my co-facilitator at the time was like, well, it's only cacao, it's not a big deal. And I'm like, yes, and like medicine is medicine, and we want to treat ceremony as ceremony. And it doesn't matter if we're doing a full moon ceremony or a cacao ceremony or a rapé ceremony or a cannabis or a mushroom ceremony. Like, we have a whole ladder and a spectrum of ceremony and work that we do, yet ceremony is ceremony, and we set the stage and we set the tone, right? And so it's set the tone for your people and lead by example. I want to say too, like, don't bring your shit into the space. When you're leading, when you're facilitating, please cleanse yourself, please ground yourself, please protect yourself. I've done this before. I will be the first to admit I'm not perfect. I'm learning, where maybe I project some of my own shit into the space. I've seen that before from other facilitators, and it's like so icky, sticky, gooey, ooey, and it's not good. It's not good. It creates a lack of safety, a disconnect. If a facilitator is bringing in and projecting, oh my God, like, I'm having the worst day, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm like setting that tone for the space, imagine how unsafe that would feel for you. Imagine how insecure you would feel. Imagine how guarded you would feel when coming into that space. So being aware of your energy that you're bringing into the space, and setting the stage, setting the tone, that's up to you to do. And like, it's always a work in progress, right? So we're constantly checking ourselves, we're constantly setting the stage, we're constantly cleansing, grounding ourselves, creating protective barriers for ourselves and maybe even the women in the space. And then also at the end, like, creating grounding, creating those protective barriers, cleansing yourself at the end too, after you do the work. And that's really important for you to regulate yourself and protect yourself and your energy when you're doing this healing work, because it's intense. Like, things can get intense, and you need to make sure that you're protected. Okay, so setting the stage, let them know what to expect. So today, before we even started, I was like, look, this is what you can expect. This is what you're about to receive. And especially if you're going into a more activated state. So I also know that these pre-frames help create, like, it's a frame, right? Pre-frame. You're pre-framing the work that you're about to do together. So yesterday, I guided a full moon ceremony and we did some shadow work. And before we even did it, before we got started, I was receiving consent. I was letting her know, this is what we're about to get into. We're going to be doing some deep shadow work, talking to our inner critic, talking to the ego. And so you might feel emotional, you might feel something, and just setting the stage and giving people the permission to feel, giving them the opportunity and the knowledge to know that they might be activated, and that's okay, and that's totally normal. So we're letting them know what they're getting into before you get into it, okay? And then, depending on what additional activations you might be doing, then you can decide, like, what pre-frames are necessary. And for me, I do a lot of subconscious reprogramming work, and the subconscious likes direction. And so a lot of the work that I do when it comes to reprogramming, I do set the stage and I do create those pre-frames so that my people know, hey, this is what to expect. And your subconscious is already kind of open to it and aware of it. And then that allows the information to more easily be received by it. Okay. So setting that stage, let your people know what to expect. And then ask them. Maybe it feels appropriate to open up the space and make an introduction. One word of how you're feeling in this present moment, or one word about what you wish to receive, or maybe a color that represents like how you're feeling. And so really like letting people drop in and connect with one another and see who else is in this space with them feels like a really great way to just start connecting and softening into that sacred space that you're creating, is letting other people know who's in the room, what their intention is, what brought them here, whatever it is. And then after you set the intention, after other people introduce themselves and set their intentions, ground and open the space together. So this is really important, especially in ceremony, is like there's a really clear like flow. I'm trying to think of the word. It's like a math word that I learned a long time ago and I can't remember it right now, but there's like bell curve. So there's a really clear bell curve of the space and the work that you do together. And so it like starts here, we're grounded. Yet before we even start, there is that grounding, there is that opening, there is that intention setting. So today we did like breath to arrive into the space, to get into your body. If you're sitting in ceremony, if you're creating even more powerful sacred spaces for other people, doing a grounding breath work or meditation, and then offering a prayer to open the space. I come from a yogic background, so you might even use a mantra or open the space with Om, like really syncing everybody up and dropping them into the body physiologically through the toning that Om provides. Okay, so grounding and opening the space together, you'll ground and open the space and then do the same at the end, kind of ground and close the space out. And then you can even use the same mantra as I mentioned, Om. So you can Om in the beginning and then Om at the end. And there's a very clear like grounding and opening, an initiation that happens, and then a closing of the space. Okay. Sometimes like we forget to do that and then it feels leaky and the energy is kind of brought out of the space. So it's really important to just open and close like that. Okay. I mentioned the bell curve. So with that, there's a very clear beginning, like starting to peak to the middle and then the end. And every experience that you create, have that bell curve in mind, right? So whether that's a 90-minute workshop, whether that's a 3-day multi-day retreat or offering, whether that's like a class, a yoga class, right? You're creating that like beginning, that warm up, building that trust, and then creating that peak and then grounding again. And so this is really important too, because we're constantly building trust, we're constantly building authority, we're constantly creating this sacred space, cultivating the sacred space together. And imagine how uncomfortable it would feel if we open the space and then we like blast it off into the ethers, doing this really intense activation. Or imagine like showing up to a retreat and then all of a sudden you're expected to like go really deep inside yourself and have this like really emotional process or experience. And you're like, whoa, like, I don't even know you. I don't know who any of these people are. That loses trust immediately. So focusing on constantly like taking that trauma-informed approach, being hyper aware of people's experiences, maybe what they're bringing into the space, and creating that climax built into the center of the offering, right? So we don't start a yoga class and then go directly into dancer or directly into, you know, I don't know, grow, for example. Like, we're warming up our bodies, we're warming up our intentions, we're creating that safety, physiologically and energetically, spiritually, creating that safety. So there's that bell curve of a framework that we create. And there's a very clear beginning, middle, and end. Being trauma informed, it's also really important to be conscious, aware of the language that's being used. This is something that I dive more into inside Pure Witch Academy. I'll give you a list of words that are not trauma sensitive and what to be aware of there. And so in Pure Witch Academy, you're going to be receiving the actual tools and the techniques and modalities to create these sacred spaces. So right now you're receiving that framework, and then you'll also receive the how inside of there. So being aware of the language that you're choosing and creating inclusive spaces. So what that looks like and feels like, you know, letting it be accessible and making sure that if somebody of a different ability is coming into the space, that there are ramps, that there are handrails, that there aren't stairs, for example, or that you're including people of different ages, races, sexes, and that you're staying open to that, and depending on what the space is too, of course, like with that in mind. But creating inclusive spaces, making sure that they're accessible to all. I'm going to take a sip of water. One other thing that I'll offer you before you really get started in the deep healing work that you'll be doing with your clients is offering them, letting them know how to ground, letting them know how to regulate, how to access that centered, regulated state within themselves. And again, that's something that you'll receive inside PWA, is ways to regulate your nervous system, is breath work and different grounding modalities, different meditations that help people really create those access points. But you do want, especially if you're going into a really activated place, that you want people to have that access point to that grounded state. Again, maybe that's putting your hands on the earth, maybe that's co-regulating with breath, or doing some sort of personal meditation, and there's other techniques, cultivating a relationship with the sensations in the body as a way to presence yourself, and more. So I'll definitely provide more of that inside PWA. But yeah, letting people know how to ground and creating those pathways before you start the work, so that they then, you know, if something ever becomes overwhelming and they need to regulate themselves, that they know how, and they've already been there before. It's really important. So yesterday I guided you all through a full moon release, and I've been sitting in full moon ceremonies for years, and yeah, that's also an opportunity and a sacred space that you can create for your people and your clients. And that's actually what inspired me to create this, because when I was starting out as a new facilitator and guide, I had no idea how to facilitate a sister circle. And I had never done a full moon ceremony before. And I was scared and I was nervous and I had so many doubts. I didn't think that it was possible for me. And I didn't want to mess up. And so that's why I'm gearing you up with these frameworks and these modalities and these tools so that when it comes time for you to create these sacred spaces in your community, that you feel confident, that you feel secure, that you are geared up, that you've put it into practice before, that it's constantly, you're like constantly in the work, you're in the embodiment of it. And so that you can create these sacred spaces with confidence and with ease and with joy and excitement and pleasure, and really be turned on by it instead of shut down and closed off by it. So I love embodiment work, activations. I think that that's so important when we are teaching from a somatic standpoint and a feminine lens, is like really staying in your body, staying grounded, and really getting into the expression of that, and the feelings of that and the emotion of that. And that's really teaching from that feminine lens, the embodiment, the soma. And then there's also, journal prompts, there's frameworks, questions that you can ask your clients, solutions that they can come up with that get them more in their head and more into that physicality, that tangibility, something measurable, something that's clear and easy to follow, directions or steps to follow, that you can also integrate into the work. So yeah, whether that's a journal prompt, questions that are answered, that is much more of that masculine approach to the work. It's super cognitive, right? Like writing symbols, letters, that's all very cognitive. So that is more of that masculine approach to the work, and it's healing. Like, it's really insightful. Yesterday when I sat in a cacao ceremony, and I am much more naturally energetic and intuitive and embodied in the work that I do. Yet the space that I sat in, the woman had different questions and journal prompts, and I really like that, and I feel like that's undervalued and less common in these more energetic and spiritual places, is like the journal prompts. It does provide a lot of insight into your internal reality, and maybe creating new awareness or pathways that you might not have seen until you started to journal it out. So there's opportunity to kind of integrate both the embodiment work and the activations and the somatics with the subconscious and with your mind and with the analytical part of yourself. Okay. Right, integration. So important, right? A lot of us go to these spaces and we gain a lot of insights and we receive a lot of downloads, and there's nothing really to follow up with it. So it's so important to create the spaces for people to feel held and heard in the integration process. Like yesterday, for example, I went to this full moon ceremony, and I was getting a lot of downloads about some of my blocks and some of the resistance that I had been previously unaware of. And I wasn't offered an opportunity for support afterwards. And I know how to hold myself, so I didn't need support. And it's so important too, and especially like you're doing really deep work. Yesterday was more like superficial, but when you're really diving into the depths of yourself and your soul, it's so important to offer opportunities for integration, continued support, because a lot of people are like, okay, I have this, and now what do I do with it? right? So creating opportunities and pathways for integration. The work doesn't just end here when we get off the call. It's like, okay, how do I put this into practice? And so for you, how do you put this into practice? You invest in yourself. You say yes to other coaching programs that are going to provide more support, more tools, more modalities, and more integrative space for you to put this work into practice. Okay. I almost missed my face when I just tried to drink this coffee. Hold on. If something comes up throughout your time facilitating that you don't know the answer to, it's okay. It's okay. Just you don't pretend like you know the answer, please. That creates disconnect and distrust. Admit to not knowing the answer. Maybe somebody else in the space knows, so you can open it up. And then say, let me get back to you on that. I'm going to send you a follow-up. And then send the follow-up, right? And that's, again, integrity. It's doing what you say that you're going to do. It's you're continuing to build that trust and that authority with your people by sending that follow-up. So yeah, making sure that if you don't know, don't pretend, don't like make something up. Just let them know I'm gonna follow up on that, and then I'll send you more information after we close. Okay. I mentioned in the beginning that there's a bell curve, and we're always opening and closing the circles the same way. So making sure that you're closing the container. Okay. And then lastly, kind of on that integration piece, let people know how to access you, where to find you, what sort of support you're offering, right? Because you might get these downloads, or you might become super activated in these spaces. And then you're like, okay, now what do I do? I feel really alone. Like, I don't know how to take these next steps. And so creating the opportunity for people to follow up with you. Okay. And let them know how to work with you, how to get in touch. And then maybe send the follow-up email after the workshop's done. Okay. That is all I have today for sacred spaces, creating these sacred spaces. And then I want to take a few minutes to explain a little bit more about Pure Witch Academy. It is a 8-week training program for coaches, facilitators, leaders, and healers in the community to develop their facilitation skills, to develop their knowledge and their awareness and their embodiment of regulated spaces, of conscious spaces, developing your tool belt. I'm going to be giving you everything that I know. Okay. You're going to be getting different breathwork techniques. You're going to be getting different meditations. You're going to be getting different scripts to guide people through their own process. You're going to be getting a framework for coaching. You're going to be getting, the circle of life and ways to facilitate that. You're going to be getting business development tools and techniques in this academy as well. So I'm super excited about PWA. It's not only for the space holder, but it's giving you an opportunity to develop your business acumen as well. And I notice a lot when in these healing spaces, like people are kind of one or the other. And I love, this is like the best piece of feedback. People are like, oh my God, you're like really good at business. I'm like, okay, thank you. I was raised by entrepreneurs, and I do have a pretty business oriented, business minded background, and I've been receiving business coaching for months and years, and really since 2017. And before that, I studied international business, and I've been in classes in accounting and the whole nine. So I've really been in this business world since, it's been 12 years now. And so in the 8 weeks of PWA, Pure Witch Academy, you're going to be receiving pre-recorded modules and within the modules, you'll have the different frameworks and techniques so that you know how to help people regulate their nervous system. What does that even mean? What is the nervous system? Why is it important? And what is the parasympathetic versus the sympathetic? How can you tell when somebody's activated or agitated or calm in a state in a state of receptivity? How can you tell when somebody's engaged? How do you know when there's authority between you as a leader and your person? So really like tuning into some of that. And then also sharing NLP techniques and modalities and frameworks with you. So I'm a master NLP practitioner. I'm going to be giving you introductory methods and modalities to create results through the language of the mind, through your programming. And we're going to be decoding some of that programming as well, and how to associate into states versus states is very much an energetic, it's a somatic experience versus creating pathways and tangible results for people to follow, which is very much that masculine part of yourself. And so in Pure Witch Academy, there's this beautiful blend of the feminine, the energetics, the somatics, subconscious, and then that very logical, analytical part of yourself. And I'm going to be giving you the frameworks. You're going to feel so confident. My hope when you complete Pure Witch Academy 8-week training program, this is an intensive, is that you feel excited, turned on, confident, knowledgeable, ready to facilitate sacred spaces just like the one that you've participated in today, and then all the ceremonies that I guide people through as well. That you're ready to receive your clients, that you're know a framework to follow. And so you'll be receiving a 6-week coaching program as well, with steps and frameworks and tools so that you can just jump right into it and start facilitating right away. And then, as I said, the modules are all going to be pre-recorded. We're also going to have weekly facilitation calls and weekly hot seat coaching and Q&As. So that's 2 calls a week. One where you show up and practice and implement all of the tools and techniques and modalities that you've learned throughout the week, that week. And this is the work. I love this part of PWA because I'm not just word vomiting onto you and then kicking you out the door. You're going to be coming back in and you're going to be practicing and implementing these same techniques and tools that you've learned throughout that week and that month and that module in real life, in real time, so that you're building that confidence, so that you're building that trust and that knowledge within yourself. You're embodied in the work that you're doing. And then hot seat coaching, Q&A, ask anything, bring your questions, whether it's from business coaching and business support, creating your first offer, to support with the breath work and the techniques and the modalities that you've been learning, asking any questions that you might have about the subconscious mind or about NLP. So we'll have those weekly facilitation calls and hot seat coaching calls. And then PWA includes a 3-night, 4-day retreat in person. I'm so excited about this. This is training for you. We'll be practicing some of these techniques and modalities that you'll be receiving throughout the 8 weeks, as well as bringing your own questions and masterminding with other women that are part of the space that have completed the training as well, and also bringing your own medicine and facilitating and receiving feedback on your work. from your community. So there's a retreat included, weekly calls, facilitation calls, hot seat coaching calls, all of the pre-recorded modules, a 6-part program to offer to your clients. You'll be ready to start facilitating and taking clients in 2 months' time. Imagine what your life would look like when you're finally receiving that confidence and that security within yourself, leading from a place of integrity. You have the tools, you have the techniques, you have the frameworks. It's put into practice. You've been there, you've done it yourself, you've walked the walk, you're the embodiment of it, and you've received the feedback, you've done it in person. I have early bird pricing right now. So if you want to drop in early bird, this early bird pricing will be available for the next week. Let me look at the date. Okay, early bird pricing will be available until next Thursday, the 5th of October, and the early bird price is $3,997, just under $4K investment. That includes everything. It includes the retreat, it includes all the modules, it includes all the calls, and then normal pricing is $4,497. Okay, so save $500 when you come in early bird. You have 1 week to decide, and then if you choose to upgrade and you want to receive one-on-one support with me, you'll get weekly calls, 45 minutes each. This is the VIP upgrade. It includes 8 one-to-one sessions for an additional $1,400. So let me know if you're interested. I'm so excited to have you, to hold you, to do this work in person with you in real time, build your confidence, build your integrity as a leader in your community, and start giving you real tangible opportunities and driving results, so that you can build sacred spaces just like the one that you've been received in today. We start the first week of November. It is 2 weeks. Imagine by the end of this year, the end of 2023, you're going to be a certified facilitator and graduate of Pure Witch Academy. 2024, kicking it off strong and hard, and saying hell yes to your purpose and your passion, and creating real impact from something that turns you on from the inside out. Your soul's calling, really beginning to walk the walk, be the embodiment of the work that you're meant to do here in this world. Let it be a sure fuck yes. Let it be easy. This is your soul calling and your soul purpose, and I'm so excited to welcome you in. So thank you so much for being here. It is with the utmost pleasure of mine. And let's just ground and close out the space. Shake it out, exhale. And then take a deep breath in. Open mouth, exhale. Twice more, inhale. Open mouth. Last one. Thank you, thank you, thank you to my beautiful humans for being here with me, for sharing this space. And imagine this gift to yourself entering into this new era, this new year, a certified facilitator and graduate of Pure Witch Academy, ready to say yes to your soul's purpose and leadership and love and integrity with your highest path. I love you. I'm so excited to welcome you in, and I'll see you soon.